Okay, this is how you can repair holes in a modern hollow interior door. This one was hit by a hockey stick, and there were 3 little holes punched in the door. If you have holes like this, I'm going to show you how to fix them. So the first thing you want to do is get a razor blade. You need a razor blade and a latex acrylic filling compound like DAP. Or there's a Polyfilla brand here. There's different brands. Baseboard, crown molding, crack fillers basically. So we'll use DAP in this case. So you want to push the DAP into the holes. Get it right in there and fill in that hole well. These holes aren't too big, so we don't need any kind of backing. If it was a bigger hole, you might have to put some sort of a backing material in there so that you don't end up using a whole tube of filler. But most of your holes are just going to kind of be pushed in like this. So take your razor blade, once you get a good amount of filler in there, and smooth off the excess. You want to smooth off the excess so that your hole is now just flush with the door, so that you have just a nice smooth flush repair of filler. Add a little bit more where needed. Kind of just keep working at it until you have a nice smooth surface. Like that. If you don't get it right the first time, just keep playing with it until you get a nice, reasonably flush repair. Then what you want to do is, after you let the repair dry for about an hour, come back with your razor blade and start drawing in some texture into the partially hardened filler. You don't want to do this right away because the filler will be so soft it'll just kind of collapse on itself. But once it's set up for an hour or two, you kind of come in, and in this case what I'm doing is kind of trying to mimic the grain, the wood grain in the door. So I'm just starting at the top of one of the wood grain lines and trying to draw that line through to the bottom of the repair. And you can keep playing with it. If you mess it up, you can always smooth it out and try it again. Just keep working at it and trying to get a reasonable repair. It won't be perfect, but it'll look a lot better if you have some sort of a pattern in there as opposed to just a flat spot that will really stand out on the door. Okay, then you're going to need to let it dry, at least overnight. This stuff takes a little while to dry, and once it's dry, after overnight or even a day or two, take some sandpaper, or in this case a sanding block, and just kind of knock off the high edges. You want to kind of blend the repair into the door so that when you run your hand across it, it should feel fairly smooth. So just kind of knock off some of the high edges. Don't sand it too much because you don't want to flatten it right out and take your fancy artwork out. But sand it until the texture blends into the door and some of those high spots are knocked off. When you can't really feel your repair as much, then you've probably gone far enough. Okay, and finally, take your touch-up paint. Now in this case I have the same paint that I used to paint the door, so this will blend in nicely. If you don't, you may have to paint the entire door to get it to blend in. But I'm just putting on a fairly heavy coat of paint and swiping up and down about a foot, getting some paint into the repair there, just to kind of fill in some of the gaps a little more, and kind of blending it into the door. And then when this paint dries, the repair should blend in. And that's it. Once it's dried, in this case I had the proper touch-up paint so you can see the repairs blend into the door.